your reread your thing. I didn't notice the breakup thing the first time. I'm sorry.
I saw it. I didn't know if you were supposed to respond. I thought it was just.
I just read it just now. Oh, well, fuck.
You guys drop a lot of information in there that I don't know if it's just looking for a response or if it's just you're just letting me know what you're going to talk about later. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Like, that's fine.
I'm still with my girlfriend, but I think it'll be funny every once in a while if she breaks up with me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
See, I honestly, I didn't even.
No, this is my real horrible life. Spilling out heinously.
All right.
My dad has vape lung.
Vape lung?
It's going to be the new thing that kills everybody.
That. All right.
Some sci-fi shit.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to Fast Break Breakfast, NBA podcast. My name is Keith. Here, once again, with my buddies through the miracle of computer phone. I'm here with Chuck Anderson.
Hey now.
And with John Burr.
They said I'd never podcast All-Star Weekend.
We didn't. I mean,
I guess
we didn't.
No, we waited.
They were right.
I took a legit All-Star break. I don't know if that affected anyone else negatively. I assumed if all the important media members were traveling on Thursday and Friday, and then also on Monday, the day after the All-Star break, then why couldn't I not travel, but also not record podcast as if, I was traveling? So I took an All-Star game travel day observed.
Nice.
I just feel like that was fair, right? No one missed us.
I'm pretty sure Keith has podcasted like 700 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
At this point.
Here's the thing.
So you're allowed to take some time off, buddy.
We have years of data. Like there's times out there where I'm like, you gotta put a show up. What if I put a show up and someone else, or what if I don't put one up and like Zach Lowe puts one out and all of our listeners are like, oh, I should go check out this. What's this tiny little podcast from ESPN? Oh, I'll check that out. And then what if we lose them? But I look at the stats and it's like, hey, if we record, people listen. That's awesome. That still is amazing. And I love it. If we don't record and then we come back, they're still there. It doesn't seem to be like there's like a dip or anything. So
thank you. So what we're saying is thank you to the people who have liked and subscribed.
Thank you so much.
And if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and find us on your podcast player of choice.
They're already listening.
Funny review. I mean, we don't do this anymore. We used to do this every show. But
because we thought we had to. Maybe we should.
I think we still do.
Maybe one of those listeners out there, listen, if you stopped listening, then we can stop posting. And then
set us free.
Yeah, you'd set us free.
You could release me from this terrible burden.
That's right. There's a burden
to watch things.
It feels like we want listeners, but then you have listeners like, well, I guess I got to talk about the dunk contest.
We have listeners.
Oh my God. It is funny. So I dabble with The Athletic and me and our buddy Dave DeFore. We usually record a Sunday show.
Let me get a quick Duffer aside. 3 a.m. Twitter DM question. Did Memphis Wrestling use steel ropes or real ropes? That's it.
That's great. But during the All-Star break, I actually hadn't checked in with Dave. I'm like, am I supposed to be paying attention to this? Like, are we supposed to podcast about this? He's like, oh, no, we don't do. I'm like, good. Cause I had it on. I was interested in the All-Star game. I was tuned in for Ja Morant. More on that later. But
the NBA Twitter elite, Chuck.
Yeah. Dave DeFore, side note, I got a 3 a.m. Instagram message. Walk 72 miles today. That was it.
Anyway, we think we want things, then we get them, and maybe they don't turn out as well as we hoped. That actually is the theme of my contributions to today's show. It'll show up, hopefully, weaving through a through arc, a narrative of this episode. But anyway, guys, we start, as everyone knows, with breakfasts. Have you guys had breakfast? Anything good you can tell us about? Chuck, what have you been putting in your
solid
pie
routine based breakfast situation? Went with a granola bowl of granola, oat milk. What
Goat milk.
I ended up finding out that because I'm counting macros. Like I'm making sure I'm not putting too much calorie into my gut, because that's how you lose fat, right? Like you eat less and you move more. And that's the secret. So I never really put it together what my bowl of granola is in the morning. It's like 800 calories for a bowl of granola, which is roughly like a third of what
It's a Big Mac.
It's a Big Mac. It's a long chicken sandwich from Burger King with extra mayo.
What's a long chicken sandwich?
The original.
You never had it?
Chicken.
It's one of the great. It's one of the great meals, fast food meals.
Oh, by the way, guys, you mentioned Burger King, Chuck. Tiny aside, we've been as you guys know, I've been very restrictive with our family during the entire COVID pandemic. Well, we all got it, so now we have these antibodies. And
20 days of freedom, right?
Yeah, just total freedom. So I'm like, I took my son.
Spitting in each
he had a
other's
day off
mouths.
school. I took him to the Lego store, which is basically like I don't have to take him to Disney World for years now. Like it was incredible. Good. But like also we don't eat at fast food place as much. We just don't. It turns out we normally eat at home. He knows very little about the world of just basic fast food stuff. We were at the Opry Mills Mall food court, and this is a guy again. It showed me how sheltered my son was. My 7-year-old just goes, he's reading the names of the restaurants and he says, Burger King? I want a Burger King. He's never even heard the phrase Burger King before, I don't think. The concept of the words Burger King blew his mind. He was very, very excited. I should let my son outside a little bit more. Anyway, I'm sorry, Chuck. Please continue with your granola and its high calorie.
So now
content.
I have to like measure out a cup of it. I had because it's homemade granola, and it like I had to ask the person who makes it, what's in this? Like I need to know how many, what's the how many oats, how many cups of walnuts, how many, how many pepitas am I eating, in a serving. We broke it down. It was great work. I'm thankful for it. But it turns out it's like 700 with your oat milk, which is only like 80 calories, like 700 something calories, which I don't know if that's sustainable, because that puts me at a deficit the rest of the day. I have to work out or else I can't have dinner.
Isn't the point of granola to provide you energy? It's not necessarily a health food, diet food, is it?
I don't know.
I mean, if you're walking, you need some calories.
I just watch Larry Bird trash talk YouTube videos for energy now.
Oh, and then you start sweating.
I actually like I don't know if Chuck, you mentioned working out, and I guess I should think about this kind of more deeply. So I have not worked out this year.
So and we're like 50 days in.
I know. And I was thinking about starting it back up. I've been weighing myself. Nothing's happening. I'm not gaining any weight. I'm just cruising along at the triple deuce. And I was thinking about working out again. And then I found out that a mutual friend of Chuck and ours, who is the lumpiest, doughiest potato bag we know. I'll say his name. It means that Shane Spresser. I found out he works out twice a day. So I'm never working out again, ever. I'm not doing it. I'm never working out again. And then I thought further, this person is also a vegan. I'm never dieting again. I think the only change I've ever seen in Chuck physically is when he started this Dave Duffer Walk Across America BS. So I've decided if ever I'm going to get serious about getting in shape, I'm going to have to start. I guess hiking is the only thing that I've now seen proven. I guess you climb mountains. Is that what you do?
I mean, you walk at a brisk pace up and down inclines. Yeah. It's
I need to find an incline
cardio. It's good for you.
I need to start hoofing.
And here's the thing, it's sustainable. Like I can't go to the gym for an hour a day for the rest of my life, but I can go for a walk and see some pretty stuff. That's sustainable. I don't find something that works.
I kind of understand what you're saying, but also like walking up a mountain is not something you can do every day. That doesn't seem sustainable.
I mean, you don't walk.
You're just walking around the neighborhood. All right.
Well, yeah, you do a lot of neighborhood walking, and then since walking is the thing you do a harder walk every once in a while to kind of like Bruce.
Chuck's neighborhood is a dirty old river.
Yeah, I bring my dog. down like there's a scrap metal factory. Me and my son walk down Davidson Street. It's like there's oil seeping into the ground. It just like comes out like it's like fungus. It's interesting.
My neighborhood is like crack house, trust fund kid who thinks he's going to be a country music star, meth house, Amazon worker. Repeat.
Yeah. Just copy paste, build a city. John, what was your breakfast?
88 ounces straight to the dome, unfiltered. Well, maybe probably filtered. Do you filter tea? Probably filtered.
You should filter
unsweet Sonic tea.
That Sonic tea water is not filtered, John.
Woo!
That comes out of a garden hose.
Yeah. Have you had like any sort of like blood work done for like kidney function? I'm about to turn 40, so the past year has been nothing but going to the doctor and getting blood work done. I just keep waiting for the boom to get lowered. And other than like insane arthritis and injuries over the years, there's just nothing wrong. And I don't understand. Yeah, give it time.
Like I tell him, I'm like, all right,
be patient.
So I find a way to get Allie out of the room. I'm like, so here's what I eat and drink every day. And I'm like, it's going like, where's the bad news? Give it to me.
Yeah.
But somehow not diabetic. Somehow no
cholesterol issues.
Pressure, no cholesterol issues.
Nice.
I think there's something to this 88 ounces of tea, which by the way, I have figured out 88 ounces of Sonic tea, I think is because of the cubed ice, the crushed ice. They put so much in there. I think it's half a glass of tea.
Yeah, you're not getting much.
Yeah, it's not that
just
much.
the ice, but I love that ice.
And also to give you some perspective, like for me, you're not going to slowly degrade into bad health. You know how like water freezes at a certain temperature?
Yes.
That's news to me, but keep going.
Yeah. You're keeping your water at a temperature that freezing will occur.
31 degrees.
You're at 33 degrees right now, and all you need is 1 degree.
No, he's at like 31, but the water's barely moving.
Check it out.
It'll eventually slow down. Those molecules will eventually stop.
If ever I'm in a plane crash, please just fly into the damn mountain. Don't tell me it's going down. Just hit the face of the mountain. Woo!
Yeah.
That's how I want it.
My breakfast, I've actually gotten in a routine, not to be like all Chuck here, but I've gotten very regimented with these smoothies. I make basically every day a little banana, a little raspberry, some carrots, some strawberries, some ice, vanilla yogurt, and just bam. A daily.
I desperately want to be a smoothie person. In there.
Why does it need? I don't lack for protein. I'm an American. I eat meat. I get plenty of protein.
I look gaunt.
If you're not spending $40,
I look gaunt because I'm unhealthy.
If you're not spending $40 a week on protein powder, then you're not an American.
You're not actually an American. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was lowercase American, not true blooded.
So I really want to be a smoothie person.
Flag flying.
I'm just too lazy. I hate cleaning up the thing.
I'm telling you, this new blender I got that Abby gave me for Christmas, like
it's the Bullet.
Yes, the NutriBullet. Like you screw the blade on as like the lid. Okay. So then when you take it off, you have to take the blade off to drink it, basically, and then you just you have to clean. Like you can't drink it until you clean this lid that has knives on it.
I think
I'm not going to put this knife lid down, and it's so quick because I feel like the old way of a smoothie, you just let the blender or like the container sit there with the blades at the bottom. Like I'll clean that later. This it almost forces you to rinse it out immediately. I mean, I'm lazy.
I had a crappy Juggalo version of that where it just always got jammed up, and I always end up having to go to the main blender, and then I'm like just very upset when I have to clean the main blender. I need to get that brand. Although, Chuck, this might be the problem. I was putting a lot of protein powder in that little thing.
Half a scoop.
And I might be pushing it because the one very American thing I'm doing when I use this NutriBullet is there's a line on it. It says maximum.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. I blow right past that.
I'm
like, what do you mean? There's a lot more room for ingredients.
I've smelled burning from my little device. I'm like, what's that? Too much chia seed.
I'm like burning it. I'm blending it. I'm like, what's that electrical smell? Nah, this is good. That's how it's made to be used. Anyway, those were our breakfasts. After our breakfasts, we move into our breakfast in bed apologies. This is our chance to make right what we might have gotten wrong on a previous episode. It is frequently the first time we talk about the NBA, which the show is ostensibly about. Fellas, haven't had a show in a week. We had a big All-Star weekend. What's something that you would like to make right in the world?
Well, we saw the teams divvied up when Durant, LeBron, as the, captains picked their teams. LeBron ended up with the greatest assembly of talent ever in the history of any sport. And Team Durant had Laverne and Shirley on it.
I thought you were going to say Levert, and I was going to laugh.
Karis LeVert?
Yeah.
Karis LeVert and Paul Shirley.
But yeah, it was. And then I looked at who the coaches were, and, Eric Spoelstra, my man, coaches the East, or Team Durant. And he's handed this hand of absolute garbage. And I go, this is going to be the worst, drubbing in All-Star game history. And turns out it went to the wire. As far as Elam ending can go to the wire, it went to the wire. And that just shows you the brilliance and wonder of Eric Spoelstra's system, the culture that he just walks around with, and people through osmosis receive like a transmission from like a satellite.
Like
All right, Keith, do it to him.
Culture satellite.
Well, I got some
Hit him,
issues.
Keith.
No, whatever.
I'm gonna save some of it for my cream of wheat.
They survived a all-time great Steph Curry
I am
game.
with you, Chuck. That Durant roster trash. Like they did not split the. I didn't pay much attention to the draft other than the funny James Harden, Rudy Gobert stuff.
Me too.
Like looking at the roster, because I was watching LaMelo Ball out there with literally no player who could catch an alley-oop. And I'm like, what is Spoelstra doing? Why is LaMelo Ball on the court with the four most boring players ever? And then I looked at the roster, and I'm like, oh, this roster is the most boring roster ever assembled. These are the worst All-Star players. What in the world? Except for a single player named John Morant, but more on that in a little bit.
Spoelstra, what are you doing?
John, what do you need to make right?
A show or two ago, I was kind of dunking on CJ McCollum because the Pelicans just seem like a disaster since he's come to town. But boys, I watched some tape. I watched 2 condensed Pelicans games, and it may be, one of those, I guess we're not supposed to say this anymore, but Luder and Wright scenarios.
Yeah. Gotta find different terminology, John.
I'll
work on it, folks.
It's big fish in tiny pond. I don't know what's the
buzzard at the roadkill.
Buzzard at the roadkill.
Yeah, I'll just say Jonas Valanciunas type situations. Yeah. But who they're now paired together. But watching the game and looking at his stats, he's been incredible. All-star level. Even trying really hard on defense and getting through some screens. I think he's averaging 26, 7, 5.5 on 52% from the field. I guess we didn't get to see this as much in Portland. There were long periods of time where Dame would be out and you'd see CJ kind of run the show, but he still didn't do this, which is they're spreading all the way out and just letting CJ completely cook whoever guards him. And it doesn't matter if it's a great defensive player like Melton was on him a few times, and CJ is just cooking this person, completely destroying them, cooking him. And it's just been fun, and it's a big what if, makes you wonder about his career and just an interesting player. And I'm sorry that I shirked him, even though I think they're 1-4.
Yeah, they're 1-4 since the trade. The Blazers are 4-1 since the trade. Are we sure replacing the excellence of CJ McCollum? And we're just getting rid of Josh Hart? Are we sure that even makes the Pelicans any better? Because I'm not convinced. I'm feeling good about that. Also, so you talk about maybe we'll go with the goldfish analogy, or say there's one dominant buzzard at the feast.
Jonas.
He moves in, and there's this other buzzard who was already used to eating. We'll call this buzzard Brandon Ingram.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because Brandon Ingram
is not used to not having the ball.
His stats are being cannibalized. They're now just going to CJ McCollum, and there's a lot to be, still figured out in New Orleans. They also
what's
made
funny
the
about
rounds.
those games is the biggest thing that I noticed about the game more than anyone being these big names players being good or bad. Like I feel like the Josh Hart presence lack I felt it a lot, but it was insane how bad Garrett Temple is. Like completely insane.
He is so awful.
like
I was looking this
like it is like he would come in like you watch basketball and there's just like there's the concept of just like when you're out there winning your minutes. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that player loses his minutes harder than anyone I have seen.
I was looking at this, John. I was looking at the worst, like just for fun, because All-Star break, a lot of time off. The worst 2-man lineups, the worst 3-man combinations in the entire NBA. And it's a lot of like, obviously it's like weird Thunder and Pistons and Rockets combinations. But if you rise up above like the worst 7-8 teams, it's all Garrett Temple. It's all combinations of players with Garrett Temple. And like Pelicans writers are like, they're really on this. They're kind of going nuts. Like, why does Garrett Temple play all the time? And finally someone asked Willie Green I want to say maybe the final game before the All-Star break. They were like, hey, I can't remember who it was, but they couched the question very professionally. Like, why is it, or what is it about Garrett Temple's game that necessitates him maintaining his playing time when you're trying to figure out who should be on that second unit? And Willie Green, I think very candidly was like, I'm not positive. That's a great question. We continue to look at different combinations. Cause like
never in my life did I think I would clamor for Tony Snell to enter the game.
Man.
Like I thought, like, honestly, Keith, like I was like, geez, the Grizzlies game. I was like, if the Grizzlies miss a few 3-pointers and Garrett Temple doesn't play, Pelicans win.
I put it up on Twitter. I was like, Garrett Temple, he with us. Like he seemed to break down every little run they had. I'm actually looking at their let's see, their on-off stats for the Pelicans. They're only 10 points worse. A 10-point net rating swing, which is terrible. I'm not trying to joke that. Their offense.
That's like reverse Jokic.
I'm
numbers.
so sorry. I read the chart incorrectly. There's an 18-point swing, a negative 18-point swing when Garrett Temple's in the game. Their offense is 10 points per 100 possessions worse. Their defense is 9 points per 100 possessions worse. Negative 18.4 swing. Yeah, Garrett Temple, he's real bad. And he's still signed. They signed him as like you're from Louisiana, you'll be the good veteran leader. Man,
it's so weird. Point. I'm just watching it. I'm just wanting this, like, because I haven't watched a lot of Pelicans this year, even though they've been, kind of shockingly competent without Zion. And I just thought, I was like, all right, I'm going to finally like drink in some of my old friend Jonas and CJ and like all these players I was excited to watch. And my biggest takeaway, frankly, was just the Temple has been sullied. Also,
they've had, they sent out their season ticket holder thing, and there was like a lot of big hubbub that like Zion was barely mentioned in it. There is something in there about like, don't miss Zion's next dunk, but I mean, no way to prepare for that. But their main pitch, it seemed, to season ticket holders was like, see Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas, and CJ McCollum next year. Also, the first bullet point on their thing to season ticket holders was get $2,200 worth of food and beverage credits. That seems like an enormous number. $2,200. Like, what do the tickets cost?
As someone who's been a season ticket holder for Sundry Sports, that's like a solid month of food.
But still, that's like that like you break that down, that's like $50 a game. How much of these tickets are these tickets for? Like, if you buy the $300 a game tickets, like those are. I don't even think the Pelicans have a $300 a game ticket. I honestly, I would bet their courtside tickets for season ticket holders are probably right in that neighborhood, like a few $100s. I'd be really surprised if they were much more than that. So again, hey, you got my attention, Pelicans, with that food and beverage credit. I might invest in some Pelicans season tickets. My apology. Last episode, I left out a stat that I found very hilarious that I really thought we should just luxuriate in. It was posted by Krishna Narsu, give him the credit. But
wow, that's a Star Wars name. I like it.
The Nets. The Nets, by the way, who just cut our guy Javon Carter. We haven't had a funeral episode in a while. Seems like maybe we should have done a funeral for Javon Carter.
I'm not poking the bear that is his mother.
Yeah. So this stat, the Nets. All right. Very dramatic year. Always in the news. Always doing things. You remember earlier in the season, everyone does, that the team said we can't have a part-time player because of Kyrie Irving's situation. We're not going to let him play half the games, just the road games in certain markets. We are just going to have him be away from the team. That's best for the team. Well, as the season went along, maybe they stubbed their toe a little bit. They're like, you know what? Never mind. We need Kyrie to come help us out. Well, at the point they announced Kyrie was coming back, they were 21-8 and the first seed. They're the 1 seed in the East. Now, I'm not going to say Kyrie Irving was a hex upon the franchise, but
you got the smudging was off.
Be careful what you wish for. They got Kyrie Irving back. Since that point, they are 10-20, and James Harden forced his way off the team. So they were cruising along first in the East. And then from the day they announced on December 17th, they said, Kyrie Irving, we're going to let him play road games. We're going to allow him back with the team. They are one of the worst teams in the NBA. So, like I said, guys, be careful what you wish for. Anyway, those were our breakfast in bed apologies. Before we move to our steak and eggs best thing, a word from our sponsor, Grizzlies Nation. Don't miss the 2022 Grizzlies Brewfest. It's just prior to the Grizzlies versus Magic game on Saturday, March 5th. Packages start at just $40. That includes your entry to the Brewfest, a ticket to that night's game, and the first 500 purchasers will receive a commemorative plastic pint tumbler. These tickets are on sale now and available at grizzlies.com/groups or by calling 901-888-HOOP. All right, steak and eggs, best thing. What's the best thing you saw in the last week? John, what's your steak and eggs?
Can I have two?
Always. Always second helpings of steak and eggs are allowed.
I really couldn't decide between, I don't know how much All-Star festivities you've caught up on, Keith. I hope you've seen some of the ephemera. Did you see Ray Allen not dap up Kevin Garnett?
Oh, yes, I did. Very great.
So here are two players, and I'll go ahead and do the other one. The other one is drunk Michael Jordan just laying hands on people. Did you see that?
Was he drunk? He just seemed excited. He seemed high on life.
He's high on something.
I think he tried to lick Dennis Rodman's nipple. I'm not certain.
Yeah.
Man, Dennis Rodman was a low-key star of the NBA 75 celebration.
I mean, when you walk into a building with your face on the shirt you're wearing, you're a legend.
Yeah.
It's just perfect. And there has to be like some kid who sees like a cool barista wearing a Dennis Rodman shirt, right? And then goes to Spotify and tries to find the band Rodman, and is disappointed. And then saw Dennis Rodman this weekend and goes, oh, that's the cultural touchstone for this man,
Yeah.
It's interesting because these are two players, MJ and KG, who are probably two of my least favorite players when they played, who I now, as retired, grumpy old men, like, just love them. Like, I just love them both. Like, I think KG's weird TV show segment is fantastic. I enjoyed him in the Adam Sandler film, Little Nicky or whatever it was. And then Michael Jordan, like the supposed hagiography that we watched, the 12-part saga, like, I didn't love him because he was such a great man or such a great player. I just couldn't believe how petty and absurd he is. And it just, I mean, these are like Larry David of the NBA level people for me. So it makes me wonder, like, am I just going to love Draymond, and 7 years after he retires?
Do you love post-career Paul Pierce? Pierce, who it looks like he's not also doing Chuck's walk an hour every day routine.
Yeah, I do. I
one of the least healthy former looking All-Stars. If we're just basing body shape's not everything, but him standing next to like Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett is smart.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Those guys are still obsessively working out constantly.
He looks like the new black guy on Jackass. Like he's just like this frumpy guy who's gonna throw himself into a brick wall. But yeah, like KG, like you can see why the Sandler and the Safdie brothers are like, we got to get this guy on the silver screen because he is a method actor. He wears it all on his face.
Oh man,
like,
he can't.
And like he's so intentional with his facial move. So Ray Allen walks by him. He understands there's going to be a camera on him. And he does this like slow lick lip. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like getting ready. He's like, this guy's not gonna. He's not gonna dap me up, is he? He's not gonna dap me.
Uda Hagen School of Acting level stuff since like the Alonzo Mourning meme where he's like going through every emotion on the sideline.
Yeah,
it's like it's just amazing. Like all three faces of the no mask. The dramatic masks. Like just amazing act between that and Drunk and MJ. Like MJ looks like he just like went to a party and did like a ton of like MDMA and is like rubbing Vicks Vapo Rub on his face.
I liked the theory. I liked the theory that
let me give you a massage.
That MJ he finally got some new blood for his gambling circle. It was a big convention, and like there's this moment a lot of people saw where he runs up to Luka Doncic and hugs him. And then Karl Anthony Towns comes over to him, and like MJ doesn't know who Karl Anthony Towns is. I love the theory that like he just taken Luka for a ton of money, and Karl Anthony Towns actually doesn't play cards, and he's like,
gambling can make I have to admit, like gambling, the highs of gambling can make you insane. Like I won a ton of money because I bet on Karl Anthony Towns.
Oh,
for
nice.
some reason had the longest odds.
Yeah, he was like 14-1 or something.
Yeah. So I just bet. So I did this thing. Well, let me tell you my gambling strategy.
Please, I lost. I only bet on Grizzlies and just lost.
I looked at the 3-point contest and said, Karl Anthony Towns, one of the best shooters I've ever seen, and he's for some reason 14-1. I'll bet on him. And then I looked at the dunk contest and I went, Obi Toppin. He's probably like the 55th best dunker in the NBA. I'll bet on him. It's just very simple strategies. But yeah, I just got lucky with Karl Anthony Towns, and it did make even that horrible dunk contest couldn't bring me down. The one you get high.
The one thing about the Obi Toppin dunk contest, like his dunks were neat, but they needed explainer videos. It was like all the new Marvel shows that like Chuck's obsessed with, or like the Book of Boba Fett. I watched an episode. I'm like, this is terrible. And someone's like, well, have you gone to YouTube and watched the explainer video? They're like, oh, yeah, you see that in the background? That's a piece of the original Millennium Falcon. It's like, if I need an explainer video, I'm not sure it's good. We need a different word for this. And that was the dunk contest where he's like, you watch the dunk, you're like, what was that? And then he's like, I'll watch the replay. And you're like, all right, I grant you in the replay. And this goes back to the Gerald Green, the cupcake, the blowing out the candle, where that at the moment, it was like, what was that? But then you saw the replay in slow motion. You're like, oh, that's awesome. But you kind of need an explainer. So I'm not sure.
So I'm going to disagree. And my best of the week, I have two as well.
Love it.
Everybody's poo-pooing the dunk contest. And I get that it's, hard to watch people miss dunks. But I was doing stuff on Saturday like you should. Like you shouldn't be at home on a Saturday watching the dunk contest. If you are, you're probably.
What are you talking about, Chuck? We're a basketball podcast. The people who subscribe to the show are obsessed with basketball.
No, I think you could. I think the optimal way to watch the dunk contest is the 10-minute YouTube video that you can watch all the main.
You mean the optimal way to watch a Marvel TV show?
I'm saying
it's a 10-minute summary of actually what just happened. Yeah.
All of these like tremendous, all the tremendous anger and angst towards the dunk contest. It's really you're just really mad you're not out on a Saturday night, And
I was pandemic.
I went on a walk, chill. I was walking. I was getting my DeFores in. But yeah, it was great to watch. But for some reason, they showed every single one of Juan Toscano Anderson's missed Jason Richardson dunks on the highlight recap. Like get out of here.
It was three.
If you're watching that live,
there were 3 Birdmen.
It was. I didn't see the bad ones. I saw the greatest dunk to me of all time, which was someone dunking in Timberland.
So you're saying the dunk contest should be more like a feature film? where you added together the best takes.
You shouldn't
And then you
watch
yeah.
failure. Also, I have another idea, and it could end up fixing it. But like, instead of having who cares dunking, which I get, there's a history of that. Like, no one knows who D Brown outside.
I still don't know who Jeremy Evans is.
But what if like, and I think everybody's kind of like upset, or I don't know, all the stars don't want to participate because it's bright lights and spotlights. What if it was just like layup line dunks, and like you get all of the 5 or 6 best dunkers from the actual all-star teams, and you just line them up. If you miss, so what? The next one's going up, and then in 3 minutes or 5 minutes, you got a top score.
It sounds like you're trying to trick the players into dunking with not knowing they're being filmed.
I mean, no,
like, what you're saying is, I don't understand what you're saying. You're saying, instead of a dunk contest, let's just have a dunk contest.
It's teams. They see how they did the skills challenge with teams. They got the brothers to do it and the dorks from Cleveland to play together and the rookies. Like, do teams, like, get creative. And then just have 4 or 5 people in a dunk contest instead of this one-on-one thing where it's too much pressure. And if you miss, you get dragged on the internet. That's why Ja didn't want to do it. He doesn't want to get dragged.
So Ja's too cool for school, which
then Ja did a better dunk in the All-Star
than
game than any of the.
Well, he missed, like the one that Ja missed in the All-Star game was absurd.
I mean, it wouldn't be an All-Star game if Ja didn't miss a tremendous dunk. Like
it wouldn't be a Ja Morant game if he didn't.
It wouldn't be his game. But I think there's, I don't know. I think this one-on-one thing's washed, and like it gives too much pressure on the actual dunkers. Like, make it so that it's light and fun, and a bunch of people are doing it kind of.
When you watched the edited together video summary of the dunk contest, did they go back in using CGI and add Obi Toppin actually grabbing the rim? Because all he had to do on his awesome dunks was just grab the rim. Why didn't you grab the rim?
1 extra inch.
Yeah, just put your fingers around the rim. I
can't believe that Chuck is abandoning the long-held white man tradition of critiquing black dudes doing stuff we can never do on one Saturday night a year, just staring at it.
I love it. I love the dunks, but yeah, it's the extra fluff that everybody hates. The fluff. Dunks are fun, no matter what.
Dunks are fun.
It's when they don't happen that your expectations are tyrannical.
I'm a dunk contest enthusiast and watch every year, and usually I'm the one who's like, it wasn't that bad. This one was that bad. Like they had 3 guys doing the Birdman, like can't make the dunk routine. Like it was like, I kind of couldn't believe it was happening. It was painful. It was like, you guys like to watch Curb Your Enthusiasm. I can't even watch Curb Your Enthusiasm. And this felt like Kirby. Yeah, this felt like Curb Your Enthusiasm to me. I was just like, oh, my girlfriend got up and walked out. She's like, I can't watch this.
Yeah.
I can't. I think it was Juan Toscano. I could see. Here's the thing. I can't remember if it was during Juan Toscano Anderson or Jalen Green's series of missed dunks.
Jalen Green's was just like, this is the worst. This for me, that was the worst one. Where I'm like, this is so many misses, and also it was never a thing like, oh wow, he was close on that one. Every single one was like, that's never happening. Like, what are the, like, have you done that ever? Like, have you done that ever? Did it turn out that the gym you were practicing in actually was 9.5 feet? No one told you? Because like he was so far from completing these dunks where I'm like, why are we doing this? You're going to try that again? Like that was nowhere close
in the dark.
To be completed.
Chuck, earmuffs. I know you haven't seen this movie and we'll never see this movie and we'll be mad that I've seen this movie. Keith, have you ever seen the Kevin Costner golf movie Tin Cup?
It's been a while, but I saw it. Yeah.
Oh, Chuck's seen it. There's a scene where he just keeps driving the ball into the water over and over and over again at the biggest moment of his career, and it was eerily like that. Like for me, it was like, is this the last time I'll see Juan Toscano Anderson? Is this how I will remember him forever?
So speaking of movies, this weekend I watched the Disney film Encanto. The latest Lin-Manuel Miranda musical. It is high key a horror movie. Like most Disney magical films, when you boil them down and explain them, you're like, wait a minute, this is like this is the plot of a horror movie.
You poor unfortunate soul.
Like a beggar woman cursed an entire castle where this woman's children turn into plates and china and dishes. And anyway, this one's about a possessed house that physically controls its occupants. And then the grieving widow with her young children does these rituals to give her children powers. It's, really happy music the whole time. But it turns out these gifts, some of them are debilitating. Like someone's like, hey, you can talk to animals. Well, that's not that awesome. I can hear animals constantly around the clock. Or like, hey, you have supersonic hearing. You can hear someone a mile away. That's a horrible thing to have. She has to cover her ears in every party scene. They're like, oh, you have visions of the future, and they're debilitating. Like you can't. So anyway, a lot of that, it reminds me also of like, your monkey paw short stories of like, you got your wish answered, but it turned out much worse than you possibly dreamed. So the theme of the show, this had me thinking about one of the big stories of All-Star Weekend is LeBron James seizing the spotlight to talk about his own future, to talk about things that are going wrong with the Lakers. As a person who cheers against the Lakers full-throatedly, I drank it up. I loved it. Much like this magical possessed house in Encanto, there starts being cracks in the foundation to find out what's going on. They keep trying to cover them up. I know there's something wrong there. This Lakers franchise, like the cracks are extremely showing. And I'm just looking at this team, this Lakers team, where LeBron is not satisfied with their trade deadline. He's making all these overt gestures to like the Los Angeles Rams, trading away all their future picks to win the Super Bowl. He then weirdly in the same breath praises Sam Presti as being an incredible GM. Although Sam Presti's just trading away all his good players to get picks.
Listening to LeBron.
But he just seems discontented. And I think about this team
Discontanto.
Well played. There's like a hypothetical that we discuss as NBA fans. I know we've done it on this show. When you talk about like what kind of team do you want to cheer for? You say, would you rather over a 10-year span make the playoffs every year, have sustained success, you win a series every now and then, or would you have a 10-year span where you're awful for 9 years, but you win one title?
Make the playoffs every year.
So I think, John, because we're like, we think about it through our prism as Grizzlies fans, we're like, I would not trade grit. I don't think I would trade grit and grind, but then you're like the one title. That's the whole point. Lakers fans don't know this. They're living in this thing. They actually have just lived it. They live in the Encanto house. They lived this curse. They asked for this. The Lakers have not won a playoff series in the last 10 years that didn't occur at Disney World. They've gone 10 years of being basically awful, but they won a title. And so I'm curious, like how they feel about it. Like, would you trade it? Like, they got LeBron to come to them to save their franchise, which had been having a worse 5-year run than this process Sixers had. They traded all the picks for Anthony Davis. They cashed it in. They won the title, but now I think like the Bills do. I mean, they can still be good this year. They can still maybe make some noise in the postseason, but like they're not winning the title. Like there's like no. They're bad. I don't know. Like
you've provided me like a false choice because you can also win a title and be in the playoffs every year.
No. So
like obviously,
that's not
obviously Chuck.
That's not the question.
With your simple-minded input right there, obviously being good and sustained championships is better.
And it's more likely.
The question is one title and 9 years of bad.
No, I think if you could ask the Laker fans that they will take the one title. I think it's about. I think being middling in LA is not ever something they want. They want it all. They want another banner. That's it. And if you can get one, then it's better than getting none. It doesn't matter how bad
I've rooted for teams that have a title followed by decades of ineptitude, and the title does not sweeten a damn thing. It's really painful if you're really a fan and following every game to watch a team be horrible. Like the Tennessee Volunteers, just a decade of just pain and torture and absolutely zero fun. I would trade that 98 title to have had 10 years of competence easily. Like I've lived it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Grizzlies,
that's
like
interesting.
The year, the year where the Grizzlies were truly poor. If you guys recall, like I was like, how are we going to live through this? Like, if we're going to be this bad, how am I going to like, it's one thing to be a fan of a team and tune in, but I was like, I'm going to have to this is back when we did a lot more Grizz content for Keith had the separate show. It's like, how am I going to talk about how bad the Grizzlies are for the rest of my life?
I'm with you, John, where I think I value having my team be competitive for the months of the season. Like I need the wins. I need the wins every 3 days or every 5 days. I don't want the under 500 and then the 20 win seasons sprinkled in. But I don't know. Anyway, the cracks of the Lakers, like they've been readily apparent for everyone who wants to see. Like a very recent one was
see them.
They, the they very recently just canceled Jerry West's lifetime season tickets.
Oh my God. What?
They sent his wife a text like, "Hey, you can't. Yeah, you know those season tickets for your life that Dr. Jerry Buss promised you. Yeah, we're canceling those.
Winning time.
They didn't pay Tyronn Lue. Like they didn't give Tyronn Lue a competitive contract offer a few years ago, but it worked out for him. I mean, they won that title. Also, it's funny all this discussion about LeBron James that was like the big splash of All-Star Weekend, saying he's going to play with his son. When Bronny James joins the NBA, LeBron saying, I'm going to go to that team. Now, Bronny James is not like a huge prospect. He's not expected to be the top. It's still several years out. That can change. But right now, like he's going to be draft eligible in 2024. What makes this the funniest to me, and by the way, Parker Fleming, he pointed this out. I love it. So Bronny James, draft eligible in 2024. Most people, he's projected to be like a second rounder. So maybe contenders hoarding 2024 second round picks is a good thing. Well, guess what? The Lakers traded their 2024 second round pick this past summer to the Grizzlies to salary dump Marc Gasol. Woo! Anyway, that's my best thing. The opposite
LeBron's still probably scoring 22 a game in
22 a game. He's scoring like 28 now.
I'm saying like
he's in a hyperbaric chamber.
It's wild. He's a top 5 player right now. I was saying like I would trade for LeBron James right now. And Grizzlies fans are like, oh, we don't want that. Mess up the chemistry.
That's just
you're
like
out of your mind.
Brainworms.
That's just fans.
It's just fans.
You get very in. Like I honestly, I didn't want to trade anyone at this deadline, and I know that is wrong. There's guys we can't re-sign.
That's the decision the Grizzlies made, and I think it makes sense. Now that we know Chris Paul's out, John, have you changed your mind? Because if Chris Paul, he's injured for 6 to 8 weeks.
I think it was the incorrect decision when we made it, but I understand it, and we're riding away.
I mean, there's not
Kyle Anderson, who I just really love as a player, like. This financial situation, it seems like we should have flipped him for a better player.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think there was an obvious upgrade anywhere. I think maybe if they had a chance to get an upgrade, they would have. But anyway, let's do our worst things. The opposite of our steak and eggs best thing is our cream of wheat worst thing.
Well, let me just stick with the Chris Paul thing because that's actually mine. The thing that I hate the most about the Chris Paul injury is I am actually left with no outcome that I can be pleased with here. Because if the Suns continue their resurgence and keep dominating the league, Devin Booker is probably MVP or MVP candidate, and I hate Devin Booker. If the Suns
stealing my bits,
if the Suns hey man, he's just an unlikable player. If you're a Grizzlies fan, you cannot like Devin Booker.
He looks like
too much has happened. And if the Suns fall apart, Chris Paul looks like point guard. I hate Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And then I also feel like teams that value continuity and that don't do all of the load management stuff. Like I enjoy that a lot more as a fan. And this kind of makes all those teams look correct. So I hate that. So this is just one of those injuries where, and also I think the Suns, this team has earned it. It is like, as Grizz fans, like everyone talks about the Grizzlies being like one of the best teams in the NBA. And I feel that way until we play the Suns. And then it's like, oh, That's
Good.
one of the best teams in the
They're
NBA.
they're real good. Chuck, what's your worst thing?
Well, my worst. We're watching the All-Star game. I did watch the game. It wasn't on record. And I was trying to explain the Elam ending to my girlfriend, and she broke up with me and left. So I'm single again. No,
Thanks a lot, Adam Silver.
Thanks a lot. Ruined my life. I think my worst was Machine Gun Kelly doing.
You kind of stole your whole open mic MC vibe.
Yeah, like coming in and just bombing in front of 25,000 people, trying jokes out for the first time. I think he had a notepad on a stool next to him.
I totally missed this.
Oh man,
what night was this? Was it Sunday?
Was during the game at halftime.
Oh,
was at the beginning before intros. It was before intros.
It's weird because it's like they have like Usher and they have like all these stars, and then they're like,
from
Cleveland.
They give the person with no comedic chops like time to riff on stage, and then meanwhile, JB Smooth and like Tiffany Haddish are like angrily speaking about power forwards. Like JB Smooth was just like that is not. I mean, I loved his passion, and he did a great job looking like a French, I don't know, musketeer of some sort with his like weird mustache and his hat. But I loved his delivery, but it wasn't. He's funny. He should be saying funny things.
Yeah.
And they had someone who was specifically unfunny trying to say funny things, and it just didn't make sense.
You know what was similar to that I actually got a great kick out of? There were a lot of things at the halftime of the 75 player recognition that low key made me laugh hysterically loudly. I lost it a few times. One of them was having non-English speaking Luka Doncic read lines in English. That was an incredible, hilarious decision. They transitioned from the 75 greatest players. There's Michael Jordan. Then they cut to John Morant. He reads a thing about whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then Luka's the last one. They give him like 7 words. And I mean, bless his heart for doing it, but I got a big kick out of that.
Bubkuzi. No, and then the weird, all the players who decided rightfully to not go to Cleveland were like filmed in their jackets in the Brady Bunch box.
We're so
like where
good.
They're all looking up and waving, and that seemed like the funny, like intentionally funniest thing that happened during
Tim Duncan waving. Oh God.
My goodness,
the best.
Like Larry Bird,
the Larry Bird waves. So Chuck, did you not watch this on VR? Don't you have VR? I assume seeing these waves, I was like, oh my God, that must be some special VR thing, because there's no way they told these guys to do that for regular TV, because it's psychotic. Like, what a psychotic decision to be like, hey, I don't know.
You're in the room with everyone else. Now they'll be all around you, to the left, to the front,
look down,
to the right, look
down.
up.
There's no one up. You're
Imagine
on a Jumbotron at the top of the arena. There's no one up from where we're broadcast. I assume it had to be for VR headsets. It was for Facebook Meta or something.
And then like Anthony Davis, they couldn't get him in time, apparently.
Died laughing.
Took a very
laughing.
Like
they showed dead Paul Arizin, and then they cut to a still image of Anthony Davis, and I died laughing. Like, that was the best. For me, that was the best moment. It was really cool seeing all these legends all together. The still image of Anthony Davis, the oft injured Anthony Davis, made me laugh so hard.
And it was like pixelated. Like, it seemed like it had an Instagram filter on it for some reason. Like, it had like deep sepia tones. But then the best walk-in to me, I mean, like, Kareem did a hook, and like, George Gervin did a finger roll. Dr. J comes in and then takes like a deep bow, like a gentleman in front of everyone. Loved it. Like
Own
a
that
true
moment.
doctor. Like a man of letters.
He's like Dr. No now.
He's a performer. He understands when there's applause, you acknowledge the applause. You take a bow, man.
Fantastic.
A true performer. So my worst thing. A lot of good
what
stuff.
What did John Stockton do real quick? I didn't see that.
I think John Stockton was just stunned that there were that many people alive who'd taken a vaccine.
Yeah. He had a V for Vendetta mask on.
Oh man. So the All-Star game. Because of the Elam ending and everything, it turned out pretty good. We had the LeBron walk-off was incredible. And beyond that, I recognize going so far as to criticize like rotations or criticize playing time.
Here, Keith. Do it.
Listen, it's idiotic, but it's why we're here. The show is, if nothing, it's idiotic. I understand. All right, the Elam ending is weird. Maybe we need to change it to I guess we're still honoring Kobe. That's why it's 24, because the Elam ending is pretty short, and I think coaches don't know when to sub during an Elam ending. So I'll give them some leeway, but the lineups involved, like one of the only good parts about an All-Star game is the end where they actually try. This is where we want to see our all NBA players face off. This is where we want to see the best 10 players possible going against each other. This is also, it's a showcase. Yes, it's an exhibition. It's an entertainment product. This is where we're supposed to see the people that got voted in, the people that are popular, the highlight makers. We had a fan vote. We also, by the way, we had a player vote and a media vote. We saw them all published. We know who the fans, players, and media think who are deserving to play maybe in the final, I don't know, the closing minutes of the game. Was it Chris Middleton? Good Lord, no. I love Chris Middleton. What's he doing else? Jared Allen was an injury replacement. Why is an injury replacement Jared Allen on court? DeJounte Murray.
Spoelstra's just trying to grind Zach LaVine into horse food pace.
I recognize maybe Spoelstra had some strategy to be like, listen, I'm going to play DeMar DeRozan a bunch of minutes because he's on a rival team. At least DeMar DeRozan, he might be first team All-NBA. He was voted as a starter.
Lots of votes.
Like Jared Allen on the court, LaMelo Ball
closing over Ja.
LaMelo Ball closing the game. I was a proponent
grinding those Eastern gears, man.
I was a proponent of LaMelo Ball being in the All-Star game because he's electrifying and we need some of those guys to make the game exciting. But to not have the players that were voted in, to not have the exciting highlight guys, the fans, the media, everyone wanted to see, it was painfully obvious in this huge moment. I needed Andrew Wiggins minutes. Where was Andrew Wiggins? He earned this. Andrew, I'm just kidding. John Morant. Why'd you play John Morant? I was watching just to see John Morant play.
Yeah, that All-Star game really sucked for me.
I was watching.
Everybody's like, it was the greatest All-Star game ever, and I spent the whole time just being like,
the whole time we're like, oh, Grizzlies fans, we finally have a guy who's popular. His jersey sales are huge, even though they're never in stock. Like this guy is so popular. Finally, we're going to have an all-star who knows what to do in the all-star game. We're not going to have a Zach Randolph 7.5 rebound performance. We're not going to have a weird footers. We're not going to have a weird Marc Gasol. I don't know what to do out here, but it turns out he posted a worse line than Marc.
Yeah. Marc Gasol
6 points and 3 assists.
Best Grizzly all-star. And I know that Ja will eclipse this, but it sucked because Ja came out and he's like immediately trying to do cool dunks and throw oops and be awesome. And Spoelstra was just like, nah.
Well, he wasn't doing hard closeouts on shooters. That's it. Yeah. Spoelstra will pull you, even in an all-star game.
I mean, I recognize like Jimmy Butler doesn't want to play, so you don't play him. Like Gobert
oh my God,
play.
he didn't want to be there.
He didn't want to be there.
He looked angry.
I'm telling you, Spoelstra played those Eastern guys minutes. He was playing. He really thinks that this is going to matter.
He thinks somehow it's going to work out. But I truly was bummed. Where I'm like, I'm literally watching to see John Morant, and we're closing the game with, I think it was 3 replacements: Jared Allen, DeJounte Murray, and LaMelo Ball. Injury replacements.
I guess I'll reveal that I in fact turned the game off in disgust and missed LeBron's shot. That'll show. Had to run into the Patreon only Slack and be like, "What happened? Did I miss something cool?" And everybody's like, Yeah, dude, it was like the best ending ever. And I was like,
we haven't even
upset.
I mean, we haven't even mentioned it. I guess we could. Steph Curry made 15
Curry.
threes. That was awesome.
Insane.
13 in the first half.
That was so good. Well, no, I mean, he had a bunch in that third. I didn't know how you were supposed to count there's three quarters, then there's an Elam thing. But like the logo shot where he just turned around, come on.
And just sprinted back
that was
and then
so
like
good.
asking people at courtside, did he make it? Did I make it?
Going back to the Dave Duffer episode where we were asked who the best wrestling heel would be, Steph Curry in Cleveland, probably the most iconic wrestling heel performance we've ever had.
They go from booing him at intro to like.
Well, you didn't see the night before, Chuck. He and his wife did a very embarrassing roadshow rendition.
Would we call that a sketch
of their TV show? And it was like truly humiliating, and they're just getting booed off the stage the whole time. And like Steph Curry's doing like the Queen wave to everyone, and then to just top it off with this performance. And also Draymond very villainous towards Cleveland the entire broadcast. Like, whew. But
even though it looked like he had a suit made out of like the early 2000s Cleveland uniforms.
He looked like Jesse Ventura in the movie The Running Man.
That was a Steve Harvey suit.
Yeah.
I assume for whatever payment HBO gave the NBA to have that long sketch for that Curry series, I assumed every League Pass subscriber was going to get like a $4 refund. You know, like they were going to just direct deposit everyone back. Like, hey man,
is that why we got NBA TV for free out of nowhere?
HBO gave us the biggest check ever. Hey, maybe that is why they gave us NBA TV for free to League Pass subscribers. Anyway, those were our worst things. Before we get to the awards segment of the program, we have a couple of listener submitted questions. The croissant questionnaire.
Owen asks, how many of the NBA 75 can still dunk a basketball?
So half of them are still in the league, and everyone other than Steph Curry and Chris Paul, I think, can actually dunk. But maybe
can Dame Lillard dunk today?
Good question.
I'm gonna say
I don't remember what his injury. He's abdomen. Something?
Abdomen, yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying no. I'm saying no. We can't dunk right now.
All right, so then.
Well, how many are dead? Am I supposed to know how many are dead?
There's like 20 of them. All right, so what about the old guys like Billy Cunningham? Can he touch?
Is Billy Cunningham alive?
Right. Will he turn into dust?
Kareem can dunk. Ray Allen can dunk.
Ray Allen can dunk.
Giannis can dunk.
You can read 75 names right now.
Carmelo can't dunk.
Paul Pierce cannot dunk.
Nate Archibald, is he alive?
Who knows?
How am I supposed to know these things offhand?
We should have done research.
Paul Horizon.
No, I'm never doing research for a croissant question.
Charles Barkley cannot dunk.
Charles Barkley's been looking fit. He looks a little fit, right? I think he's been doing the walking.
He's like 6 feet tall now. Gravity is taking
he always could.
Rick Barry has a wig.
There's no way Rick Barry can dunk.
Elgin Baylor is dead.
Kevin McHale cannot dunk. I'm sorry.
Dave Bing must be dead. Larry Bird.
I think Dave Bing's alive.
Larry Bird is dead. Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant is dead.
Larry Bird's definitely not dunking.
Wilt Chamberlain is dead. Bob Cousy went bald at the age of 80. Had a full head of hair.
I mean, didn't Michael Thompson just dunk for his 66th birthday?
Yes.
Yeah, but
or is that somebody else?
Are we sure because of his physicality, like a dead Wilt Chamberlain can't dunk? Like,
Dave Cowens is dead. Billy Cunningham is dead. Steph Curry cannot dunk. Anthony Davis is dead. Dave Devonshire is dead. Clyde Drexler, after giving a 9 to one of the dunk contest dunkers, is dead.
All right, let's end it with, can John Stockton dunk?
No,
no,
hard no.
Hard no. He looks
hard no.
I mean, I don't know know what personal medical decisions he's making in his life, but he looks healthy. He looks he looks very, very healthy, very fit based on a lot of those other people. What's our next question, John?
Magnus asks, this is let me finish the whole question. What happens first? Zion is no longer a Pelican. Ja Morant makes the finals, or RJ Barrett wins a playoff series.
Well,
I feel like that's bait.
I would say the safest wins a playoff series.
Oh yeah,
I think the Knicks might not be
in
any good shape in the next 4 or 5 years.
I mean, we never know it year to year, but still winning a series is pretty tough.
I think it's John Morant makes the finals.
I mean, making the finals is none of
it
those
could
things
happen
are
this year.
None of those things are happening this year, and this might be the best chance that the Grizzlies have.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a tough question.
Zion no longer being a Pelican is very.
So we
real.
got what? When is he? When he's got like 4 more years before he's
who?
Zion. Like when can he leave?
Oh, next year. After next year.
Pete Maravich.
Really?
Next year will be the 4th year of his rookie deal. He could just sign the qualifying offer and walk if he wants to.
Really
turn down.
Oh.
Or he can play. Wait, am I remembering? Or is it 2 more years where he can sign the restricted offer, not have an extension? So it'd be after 5 years he can walk. So yeah, he's got 2 more after this.
I'm going
like he's not going to play.
I think Zion. I think his whole time is to like he's just there to leave. This is like him going to like a bad job that he wants to.
I think RJ Barrett winning a playoff series.
That theoretically could happen next year.
Yeah.
Like if they have Dame Lillard or if they have, I don't know, anything, theoretically the Knicks could be good. It seems like that one, I don't know. It does seem hard to imagine. I have my own
theory. Are you using? Because I don't
seed last year the Knicks got good out of the blue.
Seed. Yeah, they were.
I'm just saying year to year something weird can happen and you can possibly win a playoff series. I'm not saying they're likely to, or if I'm picking which 8 teams.
None of these
East,
things are very likely.
Yeah, none of them are very likely. I have a question. This might take some math from you guys. What number is going to be greater this year?
My sunset is dead.
The combined points scored of Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, and Zion Williamson, or the points scored by Max Strus. I'll give you some data. Right now,
Strus
Kyrie, Ben Simmons, and Zion have combined to score 334 points.
Strus has had
Max Strus is on pace to score right around 800 points this year.
Oh, my.
Maybe close to 900.
What did I do to deserve this stat?
You could also, if you don't want to use Max Strus, you can replace him with, I don't know, DeAnthony Melton or JaVale McGee or any player averaging 10 points per game.
Oh my. Give me that. Man, it's weird.
So Kyrie's going to play what, 10 more? That's another 250 points. So we're up to 580. Can maybe. Ben Simmons, what's his over number of games played this year? There's like 25 games left in the season or less for a lot of teams.
I mean, he might not be.
I think the number is probably the former.
Yeah, and it would be.
It's interesting that it's a query.
So is Ben Simmons going to score? Is he going to play? He's not going to play 20 games. He's going to play 10 games max, right?
Are we assuming that his mental health condition is just going to improve just immediately upon entering Brooklyn?
Chuck, you should be getting your electroshock voltage for touching the third rail right now.
I mean, I'm saying like we should probably.
He said he's ramping up. He's got a few weeks to ramp up.
End of March, right?
That's when I'm saying Ben Simmons is 10 games, maybe. That's like 100 points. 150
I believe
points?
Ben Simmons. I believe Ben Simmons. Believe all Ben Simmons.
I'm just asking you how many points are they going to score combined? Zion 0, Ben Simmons 150.
Chuck just compared Ben Simmons to a woman. Canceled.
Yeah.
Well, we have to believe people. We have to. Always.
You're the one yet. Chuck, you're carrying on a conversation with yourself.
I'm saying I believe him. I'm trying to defend myself.
Magnus asks, assuming the evil podcast content fairy comes and curses you to suffer one of the following fates for 365 days, which one do you choose and why? Cereal for every breakfast. No other food items allowed before 11:30 a.m. Fresh fruit for every breakfast. No other food items allowed before 11:30 a.m. And once more, no other food items allowed before 11:30 a.m. McDonald's for every breakfast.
I mean, am I allowed to have?
Are we all fruiting?
No, I'd rather
cereal.
I don't. As it is now, I usually just have coffee before 11. Am I allowed to have coffee in these scenarios? Is McDonald's the only scenario where I'm allowed to have coffee? Because if so, I'll just go to McDonald's and have a coffee and probably
that's a good one.
Eat their fruit. If I'm allowed to have coffee with the other ones,
can you pour coffee into the cereal?
I honestly don't care. I mean,
I don't like cereal.
It's fine.
I don't like cereal. I don't like McDonald's. I don't really like fresh fruit, but I like it better than those. If we change this to Bojangles,
There's no question.
Then I'm choosing Bojangles and I'm dying next year.
I would just choose fruit or cereal and it'd be fine. I don't consider this a curse. That's just my life.
If this fairy makes it so that I don't have to
can't say fairy anymore, Chuck.
Oh,
who are you comparing now? Dennis Rodman is not dead.
The content fairy that's apparently who's making this. Look, if I can eat it like whatever, free of any consequences, I'm doing McDonald's. I could do a sausage, egg and cheese McMuffin. Then the next day,
no, I don't think this is not a free of consequence.
I don't think it's free of consequence.
This is a extreme consequence. This is a consequence scenario.
This is this is Morgan Spurlock consequences.
Okay. Well, I mean, if I need to think, seeing you caught me in a time where I care about health, there is a time in my life where McDonald's
what if Chuck walks to and from the McDonald's? That's like 11,000 duffers.
That's less. A duffer is a standard unit of measurement. 6 hours walking is one duffer.
Do you guys feel like this is not a be careful what you wish for scenario? These curses feel like, you want to have one breakfast for
I could eat cereal the granola I have is effectively a cereal.
There's hundreds and hundreds of different cereals.
This makes Yeah.
This makes me wonder. Variety.
If it was like Fruity Pebbles every morning, no, that's too much. Like I don't.
This makes me think that maybe Magnus lives a very awesome life where he's just eating really awesome.
Yeah, he's having incredible breakfast spreads every morning.
Yeah, multiple eggs.
Anyway, thanks for the question, Magnus. If you guys out there want to submit your own question to be answered on air or as part of the Millennial Brunch Zoom hangout, which we will do in the next week or so, you have to become a Patreon supporter. Do that at patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. You can join for just $1 a month. If you want to pony on up to $3 a month, you can join our Slack chat. It's like Twitter, but with a cover charge to keep the riffraff out. We talk about sports, movies, fatherhood. Weirdly, there's a channel about the Timberwolves. If that's your thing, by all means, join us. Patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. All right, it is now time for the awards segment of the program, the International Stackhouse of Pancakes. It's given each week to the worst performer in a box score. Leading into the All-Star break, I think a few folks, their minds were elsewhere and put up some real bad shooting performances. The honorable mentions: Anthony Edwards 0 for 8, Chris Middleton 3 for 15, D'Angelo Russell 5 for 20, Chris Middleton again 6 for 20, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum is taking
all-star closer
stuff, his points. Brandon Ingram 6 for 21. By the way, if you were one of those charities involved in the All-Star game, and I still don't enjoy hey, if this thing happens, we'll give this charity more money. I don't like that. It feels weird and dystopic. But
yeah.
Chris Middleton's team was about to win the quarter. He's going in for a layup. He throws the world's worst alley-oop, which his teammate in real life, but not in this game, Giannis Antetokounmpo steals, knocks it away. They get a layup to tie the game, and then Middleton bricks a shot at the buzzer. Like they went from giving their charity $100,000 to nothing.
He really hates those kids.
He really hates those Akron kids who want to read. Anyway, our nominees.
Walton is spinning in his grave.
Our nominees, as they occurred chronologically through the week: Gary Trent Jr. in the Raptors' defeat to the Pelicans. The only Pelicans win with CJ McCollum on the roster. Gary Trent Jr. was 2 for 15, had 6 points, 1 rebound, no assists, no steals, no blocks, 1 turnover, 2 personal fouls.
God.
Reggie Jackson in a loss to the fearsome Suns. He was 7 for 26, 14 points, 8 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 blocks, 3 turnovers, 4 personal fouls. And then Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, this is the one.
In a controversial win where my friends, the referees, missed a clear Kyle Lowry 2-pointer, gave him 3 points, did not review it.
Thanks.
He was 5 for 21, played 51 minutes.
2 overtimes.
5 for 24.
Coffee black.
He did put up 15 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, a steal, 2 blocks, 4 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. So we have
2 game clinching shots.
Yeah. He made the shots when he was flirting with it.
He was 0 for 7 at one point from 3, and then ended up, I think, 1 for 8 or 0 for 6 and 1 for 7. So
he was flirting with the Joe Folks line. I mean,
it was bad.
Unreal.
Yeah, I've never seen such a bad Jimmy Butler game.
That ices it. If you're flirting with a Joe Folks line, you win.
I mean, I don't know. Bad. He did. I mean, 15, 10, and 8. For me, looking
how
at
many periods did he need?
What Gary Trent Jr. did, 15 field goal attempts, 6 points, no assists. That's also stunning. I vote Gary Trent Jr., but also I recognize that Jimmy Butler also did a pretty special stat line there.
Jimmy filled the other. He filled the other stats.
I mean, 15, 10, and 8 is good.
It's good
outside of the 5 for 24, which is kind of eye opening.
But I'm going to give it to Jimmy because they kept giving him the ball at the end of.
It's not in the box score, Chuck.
I don't care.
It's inadmissible.
It made me angry, and I didn't know why we weren't giving it to other people to shoot.
think I'll second Chuck because I think the extra time makes it special.
That's fair. All right. Well, congratulations, Jimmy Butler. Garrett Trent Jr., you're off the hook this week. Jimmy Butler.
Plus, I'm going to give Gary Trent Jr. bonus points for out Pat Beverly this past week.
Jimmy Butler, congratulations on winning this week's International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award. It's now time for America's least favorite game show, the Lethal Lottery. We had a big issue last week. We forgot to get John a replacement player. It's supposed to be we pick which player has the worst performance using our International Stackhouse of Pancakes negative fantasy league scoring system. We try to pick who's going to have the worst performance on TNT's nationally televised games. If you've been following along, it has devolved into just try to pick a player who's going to play. We're going to pick a player on Monday or Tuesday and hope that person plays in Thursday night's game. John went with Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen was ruled out of the game. We forgot to replace him through our Patreon. So John gets the loss again.
The Grayson Allen tax, we'll call it.
A little oversight. Chuck is winning this contest comfortably with having the fewest worst performances. Finishing in last place is what you want to avoid. You want to have a player who does poorly, but not to be confusing, you don't want to be in last place with having a player who does the best. Anyway, John, you're in last. You draw first.
We're doing Warriors at Blazers, the 9 p.m. TNT game.
All right, and we're pulling from the Jack-o'-lantern. The Jack-o'-lantern has 3 ping pong balls. This is the Lethal Lottery that we speak of. There are 2 silver balls, 1 stern ball. If you get a stern ball, you can swap out your player and try to stick one of your opponents with possibly a good player and steal the victory. John has gotten. He got a silver ball. Silver ball. Which game? Again, and who are you?
Blazers, picking? Warriors. It's Warriors at Blazers.
The red hot Trailblazers.
All right. I'm gonna go with a player I don't think Chuck knows exists. This is simply a game between Chuck and I now because Chuck has given me the stern swap like 7 consecutive times.
Yeah,
it's just me and you, Chuck, head to head. I'm gonna try to take a player I don't think you know exists.
Love you, buddy.
You can decide whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Okay.
CJ Ellaby.
I was sure you were going to go with Trendon Watford.
By
the way,
I don't know.
Congratulations, Trendon Watford, on getting a guaranteed full real life NBA contract. All right, I'm drawing next. I'm up. John's pulling up for me. Give me this. Oh, I got the stern ball. One time. How can I screw this up? I'm going to take a guy I feel like is immune from bad shooting nights this season, although I run the risk of the Blazers being mad that they're winning and shutting him down. I'm not going to go with Steph Curry because honestly,
no, don't do that.
He has been putting up some incredibly terrible shooting lines when he's not playing in the All-Star game. I'm going to take Josh Hart. Who has been shooting a high field goal percentage and gets blocks and steals and rebounds seemingly every game. I'll take Josh Hart, and we'll probably swap him out with whoever Chuck picks. Chuck, you're up.
I'm going to go with, let's go with Kevon Looney.
Ooh, Kevon Looney. You know what? I'm gonna do it, Chuck. I'm gonna risk taking the double defeat. If I lose with Kevon Looney, that is 2 Lethal Lottery points, which are bad, going towards me. Chuck, you will
Just
have
got to get Chuck
Josh
back
Hart.
down to earth, man.
You'll have Josh Hart. Hopefully, Looney can pick up some fouls. Hopefully, not do too much. I'm hoping for one of those. Hopefully, it's not a double night for Kevon. So I'll rock with Kevon, and we will keep our eyes on the Thursday night TNT game. Anyway, fellas, par fadeaway. So many things about the final half. I almost said the second half of the season. It's the final quarter. I mean, it's the final quarter of the season. What things are you guys looking forward to?
Well, it's kind of interesting. I'm actually most looking forward to see how the Suns respond to the aforementioned Paul injury, like whether it's campaign or, they just traded for Aaron Holiday. I'm very curious to see if like the campaign, how is it? Champagne campaign can get back on track from last year. To me, like we're going to find out just a lot about what makes these Suns so special.
Did you grab campaign in fantasy? Him being injured makes it confusing. Makes it confusing.
I did, but I grabbed campaign and Aaron Holiday in iShop Negative Fantasy.
Oh, nice.
That one of those.
What about
guys,
Alfred Payton? No Alfred Payton love. He's also a little. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Chuck, what are you looking forward to?
Man, the East. What's going on?
The East is so good.
So, like, I think 1 through 8 are separated by. They're all tied. Like, it's just a head-to-head matchup. So the reason why somebody's in the 8th seed right now. It's if you go on a 2-game losing streak, you go from home court advantage to the play-in, pretty much. And we've got new we've got old characters in new uniforms. We have pieces that may work and, vaccine mandates that may get rescinded. Who knows what happens in the East? All I know right now is that my Heat are holding on to first place, barely, statistically tied with the Chicago Bulls, but with the head-to-head matchup, win keeps them in first place. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know who I want to face in the first round. It's crazy, and I don't remember a East like this in some time where there's actually good teams.
I think you want the Raptors.
Well, I don't want anything to do with the Raptors, and Thad Young scares me.
The Raptors kind of own the Heat.
I know, but the Raptors seems kind of weird to me now.
They're certainly. Did you see the Raptors before the All-Star break when Fred VanVleet didn't play? They just started Scotty Barnes at point, went into Minnesota. I love the Raptors. Man, they're so good. The poor Hornets, by the way. The Hornets still in 9th, still somehow ahead of the Hawks. They lost 9 of 10. They're 0-6 in overtime games this year.
Yep. They look good against Miami, though, and Montrezl Harrell might be something that helps them get some inside scoring.
You would think, forward. but if honestly, if Gordon Hayward doesn't come back, they're so trash without Gordon Hayward. That's honestly what I'm like looking forward to. Like, are we going to see Ben Simmons play? Are we going to see James Harden play? Are we going to see Kevin Durant play? Because like the slip slide down the standings of the Nets is super interesting. They're very soon going to lose the opportunity to get out of the play-in. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. I feel bad
now, right? 8.
Yeah, they're 8th. They are 2.5 back of the Celtics, who have been incredible recently. Not counting that Pistons.
I wasn't kidding. Like the East is so stacked. Like you.
What's amazing?
I think you want the Raptors.
The teams letting go the rope since not podcasting the end of last week, kind of missed it. Like the Knicks blowing another massive lead, losing to the zombie Nets on a Cam Thomas shot. I mean, Thibodeau might not make it to the end of the year.
No,
they're like just totally out of it. The Cavaliers, I feel bad because they were like, I loved them for so long this year. If there's any team that could continue to stumble, I still feel like they're the one. Like they're still being like, who should we start? Like LeVert, Dean Wade, or Markkanen. I'm like, it's gross. Like it's like
they're all bad
choices. Yeah. So I guess that's what I'm also going to keep an eye on. Also, I mean, which team are any of these teams going to stumble out of the gate in the Western Conference? Like I'm obviously maybe overly worried about my Grizzlies. Like this first 60 games was surreal how good they were. They have to go on the road at the Timberwolves, at the Bulls to start off the second half of the year. Are they going to do it? What's going to happen between like the Blazers, are they going to give up? They're in 10th. Are the Pelicans, are the Spurs going to keep playing well? Are the Kings going to make a run? I don't know. Maybe it is just the 6 days without basketball, and I'm suddenly like re-energized, recharged.
Maybe
also,
the 6 days without podcast. If you just look at the Western Conference standings, every Grizzlies matchup is really terrifying.
You know, I sort of think that, but I also think that that's like our nouveau riche syndrome.
There's like an Eastern European.
Totally believe in ourselves.
There's an Eastern European monster waiting in almost every scenario here.
Yeah, that's probably true. Anyway, if you want to go see the Memphis Grizzlies play, by all means, hit them up and get game day deals by signing up for the Grizzlies Buzzer Beaters. You can text Buzzer Beater, all one word, Buzzer Beater, to 833-550-0028 to opt in for discounts to your next home game today. Get some Grizzlies tickets, get hyped, and save with Buzzer Beaters. Visit grizzlies.com/buzzerbeater for more information. If you want to support our show, do that at patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. You can follow us on Twitter at Fastbreak Break. John is Master John Burr. Chuck is the Mighty Chuck. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You guys are the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.
Who is more dead, George Mikan or Dolph Schayes?
Mikan died in like 2008 or something. And I was surprised.
Yes.
I was like, what?
If your name is Dolph, you have to be dead before Adolf Hitler or your life is ruined. So I don't know who is more dead, but those guys are dead. All right, see you guys.
I see you guys.
See you, boys. Bye.